That is why, as soon as I take the oath of office, we will begin the largest deportation operation in the history of our country, even larger than that of President Dwight D. Eisenhower many years ago. He was a big deportation person.
What he will do: detention camps, more separation of children from their parents, and this, quote, mass deportation. Talk about, Congressman, the very real implications of what these concepts are.
First, I think it's very, very clear to Latinos, to immigrants, to folks that just believe in good humanity across the country, that Donald Trump is the most anti-immigrant person to run for president and be a nominee of the modern era. The kind of rhetoric that he said, not just in his speech, but somehow that we're poisoning the blood of this country, that we are non-human, is not only disgusting, but it's anti-American. I'm an immigrant. I came to this country as a young child. My family worked hard to earn citizenship. And the way he treats people that I grew up with, people like my family, he should be ashamed and disgusted. Immigrants, those that are earning citizenship, when we raise our right hand to this country and pledge an oath, we are also patriots. We pledge to this country, and he is continuously dehumanizing us every single chance he gets. J.D. Vance believes in the exact same thing. And so I think that this kind of rhetoric needs to be denounced by all folks across this country. And Project 2025 would roll back any progress that we have made, and not just on immigration, but on so many other issues that are important to us as just good human beings, as Democrats, and as middle-class, working-class families. And so I think it's really important to continue to highlight Project 2025, and especially for those of us that are Latinos, that are immigrants, that know this community. He is attacking us with his, and quite frankly, racist comments every single day, and he certainly did again in his convention speech.
All right, guys, so we got to talk about more reactions to Trump's RNC speech because, of course, the mainstream liberal media and the Democrats are triggered, okay, because Trump talked about immigration, which probably is the most unifying portion of his platform, okay? There are a lot of people, whether it be white, black, Latino, whoever, right? They are coming together and saying, hey, you know what? We may disagree on a lot of things, but when it comes to immigration, we all agree we got to keep the illegals out, right? We got to keep the traffickers out. We got to keep the criminals out. We have to keep the gang members out. We need to close the border. I'm pretty sure it actually really is the most unifying issue of this election, which is what pisses off Democrats the most, okay? Because a part of their diversity coalition, they push open borders to say, well, more so-called people of color is good because of our fight against the white man, specifically the white conservative man, right? This is what they do. This is the trick that they pull in order to convince so-called people of color to support policies that are not good for so-called people of color, really not good for the whole country, but I'm just saying this is what Democrats do.
Every single evening this week, the Republican National Convention is printing signs for delegates and attendees to wave, and tonight's sign is very revealing of where the party is right now. It says mass deportations now. Mass deportations now. That is the kind of policy that is alarming, even cruel, even un-American to folks on the left, and that is the intended effect. Someone I spoke to just a moment ago said it's going to make heads explode. And you may wonder, is that where the Republican Party is today? I did a little digging. I can tell you from my reporting during the primary season talking to voters, the answer is absolutely yes. And the answer from pollsters is absolutely yes. 3 out of 4 Republicans want immigration to decline in America, and they believe that immigration brings in drugs, brings in crime, and makes the economy worse, even, quote, reduces social and moral values. On top of that, a full 80% of Republicans, according to CBS News' own polling, agree with Donald Trump when he says that illegal immigration is poisoning the blood of the country, one of his most explosive phrases. When you think about the journey that the Republican Party has taken from the party of George W. Bush and his efforts to reform immigration in this country, some of his primetime addresses about America's history as a country of immigrants, to where we are now, it is quite a journey, and something we'll be chewing over not only this evening, but I think for years to come.
But one of the people who was boohoo whining and crying about Trump's rhetoric on immigration was liberal Fox News host Jessica Tarlov, who instantly got shut down by everybody else on the panel as she was boohoo whining and crying about Trump's speech.
Taliban calls him. No, you don't miss it. Guess what, guys? You know what?
You missed this.
3 of 5 people at this table, I know how you're voting, right? I know Charlie likes Trump. I know you like Trump, and I know you like Trump. But guess what? You guys can't do it alone. You need other people. And what is the obsession with Hannibal Lecter? Can someone explain to me? It's like Reagan and it's not funny. It's so weird. He was a sociopath that ate people's faces.
Everybody knows he's a sociopath.
You have lunatics coming across the border. You have criminals coming across the border. You have rapists coming across the border.
You don't want me to describe what was done to a 12-year-old girl.
But he did that too.
Do you?
Do
you want me to describe it?
I absolutely know what happened. But if you think, again, that it's unifying.
But we've got a lot
what did he say about the border that wasn't true?
Right, exactly.
People don't like the classification of it as an invasion. They don't like to hear
they don't like the truth.
That's too bad.
Again, you guys are already sold on the package. You know who isn't? White suburban women who are saying, guess what? I care about my reproductive rights, and I don't want to demean.
We're talking migrant invasion.
Sorry.
Okay. Migrant invasion has to do with the illegality that is being brought into this country.
I'm not a big dum-dum. I know what it's about.
So why is that not? Isn't that not what's happening?
The way that he talked about it was gratuitous.
He said we want people to come into our country.
It is the number one issue. It is the number one issue.
9,000 extra words.
Well,
you don't think
so? What? They listened.
No, they didn't. They fell asleep and people were leaving. I was on the floor.
Oh my gosh.
How much would you give if Joe Biden could give a 92-minute speech?
I don't want to hear Joe Biden for 92 minutes, and I don't want to hear Donald Trump for 92 minutes.
So you didn't need to listen. America listened, and America will speak on November 5th.
I can't wait.
Me neither, Jessica.
Yeah, so you see, now you heard that. Now, I personally believe that liberal white women are some of the most fascinating people in politics. And that segment there was one of the reasons why. Because for as much as liberals want to talk about so-called black conservatives or anybody that is a conservative is not voting in their own best interest, I can't think of any group more so than white women, white liberal women, that are voting against their own best interest, right? I can't think of any group because, in my opinion, they tend to push feminism and progressivism the most, right? I mean, in terms of being the loudest voices, and they're actively trying to undermine the white man, right? Which I think is detrimental, not just to white women, but also to the country as a whole, right? This is my opinion, right? When white people, white men talk about being under attack, well, it's not really from so-called people of color, more so than it is from liberal, progressive, white women, okay? Who clearly, again, people like Jessica Tarlov, she's not voting in her best interest when it comes to this immigration issue, okay? Because we've seen the impacts of immigration when it comes to crime, right? We've seen people be killed. We've seen women be raped. We've seen drugs smuggled into this country, human trafficking, all types of negative externalities from illegal immigration. But yet she's more concerned about Trump's language. Oh, well, he says mean things about the illegals. The liberal white women in the suburbs might not vote for him because of that. And it's like, well, if this is what you're voting based off of, then you're probably just not going to vote for the guy anyways, right? If you're saying, well, I'm not going to vote for Trump because of his mean rhetoric towards immigrants instead of the actual policy, right? Instead of actual policy, then you probably weren't going to vote for him regardless, right? So why try to appeal to people who are so far gone that they're voting based off of rhetoric and not policy, okay? Because, I mean, let's keep it 100. When you talk about rhetoric, right, this is what gets me about the people that, I don't like Trump's rhetoric, right? It's about never Trumpers, right? This is the thing that gets me about never Trumpers. It's like all the things you complain about when it comes to Trump and his rhetoric, okay? Democrats are just as bad, if not worse. You guys just try to justify it because you don't like MAGA and you don't like Trump. Listen to the way Democrats talk about Trump supporters, right? I don't hear Trump ever really attack Democrat voters, okay? He keeps his attacks to Democrats, the people who are in power, elected officials, right? That's what he does. But I don't think I've ever heard him actually attack the voters. Democrats frequently attack voters. Frequently. And you tell me what's more divisive. Calling voters racist, bigots, right? Or attacking the Democrats, right? Calling Democrats mean names or attacking illegal immigrants, right? Which one is worse? That's the thing that bothers me about these people that always want to complain about Trump's rhetoric. There are some things where we don't need to soften the language, because softening the language underplays the severity of the issue, right? I can't soften the language on what's happening with illegal immigration, right? When you talk about people getting murdered, gangs conducting criminal operations here, I mean, you have whole Latin American countries, their crime rates are falling because they're sending their criminals to the United States of America, right? This is what's happening. But you want us to be soft. Oh, their feelings, right? Again, it blows my mind. It really does. So, I mean, look, man, I'm all for trying to appeal to the so-called suburban woman, right? But there's only so much that we can do, okay? We've already kind of softened our stance on abortion. Okay, it's a state's issue. You guys vote on it, do what you want, whatever, right? We've softened the language on certain issues already, okay? But we can't get to the point where we don't stand for anything, right? We can't get to that point just to appeal to people who are not going to vote for you anyways. So again, these people, right? I really don't understand why they think the way they do, right? Why they prioritize things in the way that they do. But the good thing is that most of America is not thinking like this when it comes to this issue, right? I think people have figured out the hard way that open borders is not a good thing, to the point where whether you're Democrat or Republican, a vast majority of people in this country support mass deportations of illegal immigrants.
We have a lot of the campaign rhetoric speaking of what people say they would do. You've seen the Trump campaign talking about mass deportations. We tested that in a general way in principle. Would you support a new government program that would deport all people living in the U.S. illegally? And that finds majority favor. That finds 6 and 10. It's strongest among folks who are MAGA. It's strongest among Trump supporters, but also from some Democrats as well. And I think that speaks to the general idea, not just that people see the border as a crisis, but also where we are in the campaign, where a lot of very dramatic or new proposals out there are finding favor here.
Yeah, so you seen that, you heard that, okay? So polls like that give me hope, right? Give me hope that people aren't thinking like Jessica Tarlov there, okay? And most people are using their common sense instead of their emotions and realizing that, yeah, we don't need to soften the rhetoric when it comes to certain issues like illegal immigration or whatever, because ultimately, in the day, it's a crisis. It is a problem that is causing this country chaos, okay? People are losing their lives. Bad things are happening in this country as a result of illegal immigration, and we got to fix it. And if that includes mass deportations, it is what it is. It is what it is, okay? So I personally believe that this is one of the most unifying issues, right? And again, Trump does not need to soften his rhetoric in order to try to win over liberal suburban women who wouldn't vote for him anyways, right? Because again, if you're one of these people that's like, oh, I'm not going to vote for Trump because he rhetoric. Well, just say you don't want to vote for him, right? Just don't vote, right? That's where I'm at this point, okay? I'm tired of dealing with these people who still are undecided on a man that has been the same for the last 8 years. And don't get me wrong, I understand not scaring people away, right? But there's a difference between not scaring people away or turning off voters versus trying to pick up somebody that already probably is not going to vote for you anyways, right? They're just too far gone. Everybody knows what Trump is. We know what we got when he was in office versus right now. If you can't make a decision based off the results, I don't know what else to tell you. I really don't. I don't think that toning down the language against the illegals is going to sway anybody's vote. But who knows? Maybe I'm out of touch here. I'm not entirely sure. I'm not a suburban woman. But if I was a suburban woman, right, I actually would like somebody to talk tough on the issue of illegal immigration just for my own self-preservation for me and my family. But again, that's not the way some of these people are thinking. Let me know what you guys think. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Most importantly, share a Black conservative perspective. Peace.